Hello everyone, Pallytime here. Welcome back to Heroes of the Storm. We have a brand new character just added to the Heroes roster yesterday, and her name is Zarya. She comes from the Overwatch universe, and I wanted to do a bit different of a video today. Throughout recent months in Heroes development, we've seen the developers really take a look at what makes a character unique, and they want to focus on these aspects, and they try to accentuate these aspects, and try to make one mage, so Kael'thas, Jaina, Li Ming, Chromie, they want to try to make these characters feel like they're casting magic, but in a very different and equally impactful way. And I think they've been making great strides in this. I think they've been getting a lot better at this through as they get more practice. And I was excited to see how Zarya would play out in this game as a warrior that is also defensive with shields, because we already have that. We already have Tyrael, who is a warrior that can give shields to himself and to allies, both in proximity. And I just... Normally when I do a first impressions video, people are like, oh wow, another hero that Pally loves more than anything. What a Blizzard fanboy. And I mean, I kind of see where that's coming from. This is my favorite game. I do devote my life to this for the most part. And for the most part, I am a pretty positive guy. But I'm really confused by a lot of the design decisions that we're seeing here. And honestly, I think a lot of Zarya's kit is a really big step in the wrong direction. And we're going to do a bit different of a video today, and I'm going to try to show you why that is. We're in try mode right now, and we're going to establish a little bit of a baseline. Now, I want to be very, very clear that these are just my opinions, and it is okay if you disagree with me. In fact, I kind of hope you do. I hope I'm missing something here. Zarya has 3 abilities, just like most other heroes at the start of the game. She has her Q, which does 135 damage at level 20 baseline. Now, she can increase this damage by soaking damage with her shields, which will give her this energy that you see now that would increase her abilities by 200%, everything that she does. So we go from 135 to roughly 400 at maximum power on these Qs. And there are 3 charges of this, so theoretically you could do quite a bit of spamming. Now that's fine and dandy, whatever. Her other abilities is when I start to have like this really big question mark. I'm very puzzled by this. So she has 2 shields, one for herself on a 12-second cooldown and one for her allies on a 12-second cooldown. And how this works, if you take damage, let's go over here, we'll take some damage. As we take damage, it'll start to charge up this shield, which again gives us energy. And then we can do more damage with our Q and our base auto attacks with this energy that we have accumulated. Now, this works not only for us, but for allies that we shield as well, although there's not a very easy way to kind of show that damage. In Overwatch, when someone is shooting you as Zarya, it's very spammy. Most people left click and they hold that shit down. Or you get a massive amount of damage coming out of a wombo combo at one time and you soak it all up. Because she doesn't take damage in Overwatch if that shield is there. At least not much at all as far as I can seem to remember. This shield, however, only soaks up 1,200 damage. And then she gets a little bit of a damage boost and then has no mitigation whatsoever after that. She has a complete lack of crowd control in her base kit prior to level 10, and has a complete lack of mobility in her kit ever. So we have a character that is meant to go in and trade, and also absorb damage to deal more damage. But as you can see, the problem here is that this 12-second cooldown is vastly more of a hindrance than a benefit in most cases. I mean, I almost want to say if Arthas focused me, he could kill me. But there's no way to really test that, so I won't. But on the PTR, I've seen tons of instances versus other warriors, Chens, ETCs, Muradins, where Zarya would walk up and counter this hero, do everything in her base kit, and still be out-damaged and out-sustained at the same time by characters that also have more mobility in their kit as well. But this is just the surface. This is just the start. I'm confused by a lot of things here. Her level 10 heroic, for instance. One of them is Graviton Surge. Launch a gravity bomb that draws in enemies. And it looks like this. Doesn't even work on mercenaries, for fuck's sake. This does no damage by itself. It is just there to set up a wombo combo for your team. And it has a 120-second cooldown. Does it look familiar? Because it does to me. Now, to me, her heroic ability looks a lot like everyone's favorite engineer, Gazlo's. And as you can see, Gazlo's appears to be a little bit more effective. Her other heroic ability is called Expulsion Zone. And this is basically the opposite of Graviton Surge. You can put this in an area. I'm going to toggle off cooldowns just for the purposes of showing it. You can put this in an area and it will push people away from the center. So you can move a target out of an area, and it's really not bad for holding choke points. So for instance, if you're running away, you could set this down here and get a lot of space. This is a heroic ability, level 10, one of her talents on a 45-second cooldown. Do you know what this reminds me of? I'm sure you probably do. There's this little warrior here named Tyrael. He's been popular lately because of his heroic ability with a 80-second cooldown that makes all of his allies completely immune to damage in this area. Pretty good. He's a warrior with shields for his team on his W, with a 10-second cooldown, shorter than Zarya's, but granted, Zarya's shield is a bit bigger on a single target. But you know what else Tyrael does? Tyrael has an ability called Eldruin's Might. When he throws this down, it's a sword that will remain in this area, and if he activates the ability again, he can teleport to this, and it makes a field on the ground that no one can walk through. And it's not like this is an uncommon talent. Nearly every single Tyrael build that is currently in the upper echelons of win rate uses this talent at level 16 to the fullest extent that they possibly can. The zoning potential on this is so high because it's a 12-second cooldown. Now, granted, this doesn't deal any damage, but you're not really using Zarya's ability in that regard to deal damage either. It's meant to prevent people from entering an area. Both of these do the exact same thing. Zarya's on a significantly longer cooldown. Then let's talk about her auto attack damage. At level 20, she does 44 damage a tick. Granted, she's attacking relatively fast, but 44 damage a tick without any charge. This shouldn't happen very often. You should be able to get charge, and it shouldn't be that hard. This is a level 20 Zarya. Let's go ahead and see what another character can do at maybe level 10. This is Tychus. At level 10, his minigun shoots exactly the same speed as Zarya's, or at least pretty close as far as I could tell. We're able to do 65 damage a shot at pretty much the same range she does. If we activate the minigun, it is 108. Now, the thing about Tychus is, well, he's not a warrior, but he could probably tank more damage than a Zarya can because he has innate abilities to move out of things that might hurt him. He has gap closers. He has the ability to move something without it being a heroic ability, and now he has Odin, which will just flat out reduce the damage he takes by 25%. It seems like Tychus is a better tank than the new warrior, and deals more damage than her too. But what about the shields, Pally Time? She has 2 shields. Yes, she does. 12-second cooldowns. And they're only useful if someone is already hitting you and taking damage. You know who else has shields that aren't on a 12-second cooldown? I mean, I could show you. Tassadar has shields that are on a 5-second cooldown that absorb about 500 health at level 10. And you know what else these shields do? Last forever, as long as you don't take damage, and allow you to regenerate your health while the shields are on you, given you follow the dominant Tassadar talent build that pretty much everyone does. You can also, at level 20 on Tassadar, you can set yourself up to be able to kind of do burst shielding if you wanted to go for rewind as well. Let's not forget about Archon. If you were being focused and you wanted to survive a little bit more, well, there's another shield. And if you were to take it a step further, well, here you go. Here's rewind. Or you could go for storm shield and give everyone around you shields. Or you could just not fucking die because you're playing Tassadar. I mean, that's not a problem, right? I mean, I guess it's a little off topic. We're talking about Zarya here. But if your team needs shields, there's already a better shielder that can also deal damage with slight talent variations. Probably comparable damage to the Zarya. Now, I am not, under any circumstances, trying to say that Zarya is useless. And normally my first impressions will go through talent builds and things like that. That's not what I'm trying to do here today. I think Zarya has a place versus damage over time dealers. Gul'dan, for instance, could have a hard time dealing with Zarya, would probably charge her shields quite a bit. Same thing goes for Lunara, wherever the hell she is on the screen. There we go. Same thing goes for Lunara, or a Tracer who could have issues with turning her auto attacks off on a single target. She does have a way to generate shields kind of reliably. But the point is that we are in a certain time where Blizzard is trying to differentiate every single character and make them feel different from others. We already have a warrior with a lot of the same skills in his kit to block off narrow passageways, to give allies to shields, and he has more mobility and probably more damage than Zarya does. We already have a suck-in ultimate on Gazla. We can already vacuum things into things. We can already hold people in one location. She doesn't bring anything new to the table at all. And I hope this isn't a sign of things to come for Heroes design. Now, this being said, Blizzard, you know I love you. You know I'm one of your biggest fans in the whole world. But I really don't think this was a well thought out design. I really don't. It works in Overwatch. It works so well in Overwatch. But we already do everything she does here in the Nexus in one way or another. And I don't think she's particularly good enough, personally, at any one thing to justify her spot on a team, aside from these very niche scenarios where you have this damage dealer that doesn't know how to stop. She's probably pretty good versus Illidan. Again, this is just my opinion. You're more than... I mean, I hope you disagree with me. I hope you could show me the light here because I'm having a really hard time seeing it. Thank y'all for watching. We won't make a lot of these videos in the future, I hope. And I'll see you all next time. Hopefully, we can figure out how to play Zarya.